We have some interesting new details about the Fields trade to the Steelers. Apparently, there were other teams that made offers to the Bears for the services of Justin Fields.
4.
However, 4, Mr. Carton. However, they ended up working with Fields to trade him to the Steelers. Do you think that the Steelers have mismanaged this entire?
No, I think that's a bold-faced lie.
No,
is what
it's
I
not,
think.
Craig.
So just play this out real quick if we can, guys. Name the 4 teams. Can you name them?
Atlanta, Denver,
Minnesota.
Okay,
and the Jets.
Okay,
and the Raiders.
so here's the deal. The 4 teams, and those are good guesses, obviously. The 4 teams were never announced. It was 4 mystery teams had a huge interest in Justin Fields. All right, now play that out for a minute.
Sure.
That means that, what were they offering? 7th-round picks, 8th-round picks, 15th-round picks?
Well, we don't
because
know.
remember, they traded him for a 6th-round pick. So if there were 4 other teams involved, which is complete nonsense and not factually correct, and they're doing it to make themselves look better, as if they did the young man a favor by trading him to the team that he wanted to go to, and I get the public relations aspect of that. If there were 4 other teams that legitimately wanted Justin Fields, that means by default, at least one of those teams would have had to have offered Chicago something better than a 6th-round draft pick. It just makes common sense. Let's not even argue that point, okay?
Can I say something?
So here's the reality. Nobody wanted Justin Fields, A. B, Justin Fields did not have a no-trade clause in his contract, meaning Chicago could have traded him to any team they wanted.
Correct.
There's a little kickback in Chicago right now based on what they got back for Justin Fields, because the thought was wait until the draft or right around the draft, and maybe you can maximize the return you get. He's not the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. He's not going to play 51% of the snaps, and that pick is going to sit right there in the 6th round. It ain't going to go to the 4th round, which it would if he did play more than half the snaps for the Steelers this upcoming year. So if you're starting to get kickback on why you traded him for only a 6th-round pick, how do you change the narrative? You leak out to a story-hungry press that there were 1, 2, 3, 4 other teams that were very interested in trading for Justin Fields, but you wanted to do right by the kid because he's a good kid and you want to see him succeed. It's bullcrap.
I disagree, Craig. You talked about Matt Nagy and Ryan Fields. They understood when they drafted this young man, and we've talked about it in nauseum, they left him in no man's land, right? Now you talk about the situation and Caleb Williams was about to walk in with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, a better offensive line. They may draft Brock Powers at the 9th spot.
Right.
So Caleb Williams,
the tight end out of Georgia.
So you talking about Caleb is walking into a situation that Justin Fields never had. So it's not hard for me to believe that Ryan Poles said, listen, man, we wanted you to be the difference maker. We didn't supply you with enough weapons. We didn't give you enough. I'm going to do right by you. So I do believe there was an honest conversation that happened. I do.
Let me just walk you through why.
Wait.
I buy the 4 other teams.
It's nonsense.
How you say it's nonsense? Do you know what went on in that room?
Yeah, I do.
You was in the room?
That's right.
Wait. Craig, come on now.
Listen, we live in a world where these things exist. We live in a world where everybody's got loose lips, whether you want them to or not. And there is no possible way that 4 different franchises were making an offer to Chicago for Justin Fields, and none of those teams got leaked out as the potential possible destination.
Atlanta wanted him, and they said there was a big question mark over it.
And I'll do you one better. Ryan Poles' job, like every other general manager's job in the NFL, is not to make you feel good on the way out.
That's how you think, Craig.
No, it's not.
No, that's not true.
It's to extract the most value in return.
Do you think he turned down a 2nd-round pick? Do you think he turned down a 3rd-round pick to be nice to Justin Fields?
No.
No, there might have been 4 other teams with interest, but they didn't have significantly better offers than the Steelers.
I disagree with that. I think Ryan Poles really loved the young man and understood that. First of all, you got to understand, Ryan Poles played the game of football. He's not just a GM that came out of Park Avenue. He's a guy that actually played. He was a former offensive lineman. So he probably had a rapport with the young man. He goes, listen, this may be out of the box, but I'm going to do you right. Because I understand being a young quarterback in this system right now, we didn't supply you with the best
Really, when is a
Caleb
GM
Williams is walking into a Corvette. He just doesn't have to credit.
When has a general manager done what's
Just because
good
you've
for
never
the
heard
player and
that
not
it's
good
not
for the
possible,
team?
Craig.
It is.
It's not.
And you know better. You sound so naive to think that.
I'm not naive to think that the young man was done wrong. And I'm not naive enough to think that Ryan Poles said, listen, man, because right now, you already have the number 1 pick. You have the number 9 pick. You already acquired weapons. It's not believe that Ryan Poles, we can get the best out of both situations.
Here's what's fascinating. And I respect the unwavering nature of your opinion. I do. I really do. But you and Greg Jennings, who's not here to defend himself, to be fair, and I'm not going to put Timmy in the spot to discuss this in depth because that wouldn't be fair either. But for some reason, you guys are totally unwilling to look at an average quarterback and call him average.
You can call somebody average and they had a fair shot.
That's what he is.
He never had a fair shot.
3 years in the NFL, never threw for 3,000 yards.
What
he had DJ Moore last year.
Can we throw up the graphic where he sacked 99 times?
Yes, he was.
What quarterback sacked 99 times? He's going to throw more 3,000 yards.
I'll give you an answer. The answer is Troy Aikman. He was sacked 99
Troy
times.
Aikman had a Hall of Fame line and a running back and a playmaker and Alvin Harper on the other side with Moose Johnson at fullback.
Yeah.
Who got?
Yeah,
all
who
right?
got?
Like, come on.
It's amazing to me that you're unwilling to call Justin Fields what he is. He's a bad quarterback. And if you think a team made a better offer to Chicago, and Chicago said, no,
we're sweethearts over here.
We don't really want a better draft pick. We want to do right by Justin Fields.
That's a good place
I
to
say,
go to.
Ugats back to you.
Moving on to second and football. Some interesting news out of Philadelphia regarding Hasson Reddick. They've pushed back his roster bonus deadline until April 1st, which leads people to believe that he will be on the move before April 1st. Do you think that they will regret not retraining?
I want to know what that move is right there.
That's to warm up the glutes. It's for your glutes. That's exactly what it is.
Is that what that is? My wife always told me, to build a nest and hover, but that's a whole different thing right there. Now, what was your question?
Will the Eagles regret trading Hasson Reddick?
Look, I think Hasson Reddick was misused last year, towards the end of the year, where they kept him 20 yards off the line of scrimmage, meaning he had no chance to really get to the quarterback. There's got to be something else going on, and maybe their willingness to trade Hasson Reddick, who would be right now, a $20-some-odd million cap hit for the Eagles, kind of goes back to what we discussed a lot last year, which was the allegations, I put it out there as fact, of locker room dysfunction and guys not being on the same page and not getting along. Hasson Reddick had a couple major blowups, we all watched it, on the sideline last year with the coaching staff. There was a huge debate as to whether or not Matt Patricia at the time, their defensive coordinator, was using him properly. And what's crazy about this to me, especially as a guy who really dislikes Philadelphia and the Eagles organization right now with a passion of 1,000 suns, here's what I don't get. Every time I watch the Eagles play, that dude's making plays. That guy's a game disruptor and has been in his entire career. So I'm saying to myself, that guy could play for my team any day of the week and twice on Sunday. A, why are the Eagles giving him permission to shop himself? B, if there are locker room issues, why don't you sit down and fix them? And maybe it was as simple as you had the wrong defensive coordinator, calling the shots as to where Hasson Reddick should be used. But it goes back to the story from last year. There were problems, and there still are problems amongst some of the guys in that locker room because you don't just walk away from a talent like Hasson Reddick. Hasson Reddick is a starting defensive player on every single team in the NFL today, bar none. And I understand the cap implications and all that, but you never walk away from talent. And the Eagles seem willing to walk away from one of their best defensive players, and I don't quite understand that.
And what's why you acquire Bryce Huff, who we talked about it before. Like he's never on the field for rundowns. This guy is with the Jets, right? So you let go a guy in Hasson Reddick, and you let go of Josh Sweat. So if you're the Eagles right now, who's getting after quarterback? Because you're gonna rely on Brandon Graham, who's damn near 35 years old,
and Fletcher Cox is gone. He retired.
So, the Eagles got major issues. Hopefully they knock it out in the park.
And I'll tell you, to show you the blood in the water, one of the longest-standing, ass-kissing Eagle fans in Philadelphia of all time, it has predicted that the Philadelphia Eagles this year win 5 games. So I'm not saying they're going to win 5. I think they're going to be better than that. And I think offensively they have as much skill position talent as anybody in the NFC, not named maybe San Francisco. And they probably match them up pretty good too. But that's the feeling right now with Nick Sirianni as the head coach. It's just interesting that you're going to walk away from talent. Obviously, they haven't yet because no one's made him an offer that they're willing to accept either. But I would take Hasson Reddick in a finstant, which is quicker than an instant.
If I'm the Detroit Lions, if you got an opportunity to go get him because you need another pass rusher to cap off Aiden Hutchinson. So I think he'll do a hell of a job in Detroit.
Down the stretch, the Eagles had a ton of issues, but number one on top of all that was defense and tackling, especially in the secondary and the linebackers. And the idea that you're going to lose your best defender doesn't seem like it's going to.
By the way, before we take a break, if you're a diehard Giant fan hoping that the Giants do, or maybe you're hoping against them getting J.J. McCarthy, he will have a private workout with the Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings have the 11th and 23rd picks in the draft. So just keep that little nugget in the back of your head that Minnesota might make a play to move up and get ahead of you to go get J.J. McCarthy, who won the national championship at Michigan. Hey there. Thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.